you know I'm addicted to you. And it's twisted, you've been gifted with the evil.
Jungkook sat casually on the basketball court, his clothes and face drenched in sweat. Just a few minutes ago, he and his teammates had finished their basketball practice. There would soon be a basketball tournament at Seoul University. Last year, his team won first place, with Jungkook as the captain. This year, they were determined to defend their title. In truth, Jungkook hadn't wanted to participate this time, considering he was now a fourth-year student with only 9 months left until graduation. However, after persistent persuasion from his juniors and his coach, he reluctantly agreed. His sharp eyes had been fixated on one spot for some time now, a girl calmly reading a book in the stands, seemingly unaffected by the commotion around her. "You're still dependable as always, Jungkook," said Yoonwoo, who sat down next to him. "You should have joined too," replied Jungkook. Yoonwoo chuckled. "I'm not as skilled as you. Besides, I need to focus on my final project if I want to graduate next year." Jungkook shot Yoonwoo a lazy glance. "You think I don't want to graduate soon too? Hey, you're a genius. Even if you play in the tournament, I'm sure your assignments will still be perfect." Yoonwoo laughed, patting Jungkook on the shoulder. Jungkook simply snorted, his gaze returning to the same object. "Your presence on the court makes the stands fill up," Yoonwoo commented, glancing at the stands, which were packed with female students. "Yeah, they're definitely here to see you," Yoonwoo continued. Jungkook remained silent. He was known for his cold demeanor, handsome, with an athletic build, and a genius student. His intelligence and looks were well known around campus. Especially with sweat dripping down his face and shirt, Jungkook appeared even more manly, leaving many female students mesmerized by him. "You're not listening to me, are you?" said Yoonwoo, annoyed. Jungkook clicked his tongue, annoying. "Let them be," he replied flatly, completely uninterested in the girls who had come to watch him. His eyes stayed locked on that beautiful girl. Yoonwoo followed his gaze. Now he understood why Jungkook wasn't paying attention to him. "Oh, so it's Yin, huh?" teased Yoonwoo. Jungkook quickly averted his eyes, realizing he had been caught. He shot Yoonwoo a sharp look, but Yoonwoo wasn't intimidated. In fact, he continued teasing him. "Yin is really pretty. Who wouldn't like a girl like her? She's beautiful, has a sweet smile, flawless skin, and she's smart too," Yoonwoo praised, glancing at Jungkook before chuckling. "Watch your eyes, Yoonwoo. Don't just stare at any girl," Jungkook said, displeased. "Any girl or just Yin? You don't mind if I look at other girls, but when it comes to Yin, you get angry?" Yoonwoo teased again, clearly enjoying messing with his cold friend. "Get lost. Stop bothering me," Jungkook said in frustration. Yoonwoo laughed loudly. "Calm down. I wouldn't like the same girl my best friend does. But if you want my advice, you should ask her out before someone else does. You know she has a lot of admirers." Jungkook remained silent, watching the girl as she began to leave the stands and head toward the door. "I'll think about it later," Jungkook muttered softly. But Yin is different from other girls. While other girls would happily be your girlfriends, Yin might be harder to win over. She's never been seen getting close to any guy, not even you, Yoonwoo added. Jungkook gave a faint smile. "We'll see about that." Yin, Yoonwoo, and Jungkook were in the same class. For the past 2 years, Jungkook had been harboring feelings for her. She was different. Yin had never shown any interest in or gotten close to any guy, including Jungkook. It seemed like she purposely avoided interacting with men. Jungkook sat on the sofa in his bedroom, his eyes gazing out at the dark night through the large glass window. Born into a wealthy family, Jungkook was the only child of a rich conglomerate couple in Korea, but since entering university, Jungkook had decided to live in an apartment to gain independence. At that moment, his thoughts wandered as he imagined Yin's beautiful face. Everything about Yin always seemed fascinating to him, especially her indifferent attitude toward men. "I can't keep holding this in, Yin," Jungkook murmured quietly. "I'm going to lose my mind if I keep these feelings bottled up. Whether you accept me or not, you have to know that I love you." Jungkook had made up his mind. Tomorrow, he would confess his feelings. The class had just ended when Professor Lin left the room. Jungkook deliberately stayed behind, already aware that Yin would only leave once the classroom had nearly emptied. She disliked crowds. The moment Yin stood up to leave, Jungkook moved. "Yin, can we talk in private?" Jungkook asked. His face remained expressionless, though inside he was extremely nervous. Yin was startled. It was unusual for Jungkook to speak to her. She wasn't particularly close to him. Actually, Yin wasn't close to most of the boys in her class. She quickly composed herself. "What do you want to talk about?" she asked softly. Jungkook glanced around, noticing a few people still lingering, watching them. For them, seeing Jungkook speak to a girl was rare. After all, he was known for being cold and indifferent towards women. Jungkook sighed internally. realizing he had now become the center of attention. Not here. I'd like to talk to you alone. Seeing Yin's cautious expression, Jungkook quickly added, don't worry, I promise I won't do anything weird. Yin paused for a moment, then nodded. She knew Jungkook was a good guy. He had a stellar reputation, and there had never been any rumors of him treating women poorly. Even though he was cold, he would politely turn down the female students who tried to get close to him. So, what do you want to talk about? Yin asked. Her soft voice made Jungkook even more nervous. They were now sitting on a park bench behind their faculty building. This park was known to be quiet in the late afternoon. Jungkook exhaled slowly. He had to do this. I want to be honest with you. There's something I need to say, Jungkook quickly replied. Yin raised an eyebrow, looking into his sharp yet nervous eyes. What do you mean? I've liked you for a long time, Yin. Jungkook's confession caught Yin off guard. Jungkook, liking her? This must be a joke. Yin chuckled awkwardly. Don't joke around, Jungkook. That's not funny. I'm not joking, Jungkook said seriously, cutting off Yin's awkward laughter. Yin swallowed hard. But why me? She asked, still in disbelief. Because it's you. I like everything about you. I've been holding these feelings for almost 2 years, and I can't keep it in anymore, Jungkook said calmly, his nervousness slowly fading. Yin lowered her head, unsure of how to respond. This wasn't the first time she had been in this situation. Being a beautiful and intelligent student, many guys had confessed their feelings to her before. Usually, Yin could respond and turn them down with ease, but this time she was at a loss for words. She never expected the campus's most heartthrob guy to have feelings for her. Yin, do you already have a boyfriend? Jungkook asked. No. Yin shook her head. Jungkook gave a small smile. Will you be my girlfriend? He asked quickly. Yin looked up, once again surprised by his words. Was Jungkook really asking her out? Yin remained silent. Well, what do you say, Yin? No. Yin replied flatly. Despite Jungkook being a good and popular guy, Yin wasn't interested. Jungkook's shoulders slumped in disappointment. But why? Because I'm not looking for a relationship right now. I still want to be on my own. Yin turned her face away, avoiding eye contact with him. Is there really no way you can reconsider? Jungkook asked, still trying to persuade her. No, Jungkook, I can't. I want to focus on my studies so I can graduate soon, Yin answered, this time daring to meet his gaze. Her expression wasn't harsh, but she seemed to be thinking deeply about something. But we could study together. If we're a couple, we could motivate each other, Jungkook said, unwilling to give up. I still don't want to, and you can't force me, Yin replied firmly. Jungkook let out a soft sigh. So, I'm really being rejected, huh? He chuckled bitterly. I'm sorry, Jungkook. I just can't. Yin felt guilty, but there was no other choice. She wasn't ready for a relationship now. Jungkook exhaled repeatedly. He knew Yin was lying. Her eyes said it all. Although she appeared calm, Jungkook could see fear and discomfort in her. Her body language was also a bit off. Her hands had been tightly clenched since the beginning, as if she was holding something back. All right, I won't force you, but we can still be friends, right? Jungkook asked gently. Yin nodded, offering a sweet smile. Yes. Jungkook nodded back without saying much, but his eyes remained fixed on her. Yin cleared her throat, feeling nervous under his intense gaze. It's getting dark. I should head home. I'm really sorry again. Yin stood up and left, with Jungkook watching her with an unreadable expression. Yin hurried down the stairs. This evening, she had plans for a dinner with her parents. She was excited, as it had been a while since they last dined out together due to their busy schedules. She could hardly wait. However, in her haste, Yin missed a step and almost fell, but a hand quickly grabbed her waist, pulling her back just in time. Jungkook's breath was ragged. He had arrived just in time. If not, he might have seen his beloved girl badly injured. Be careful, Yin. Watch your step, Jungkook said sternly. Yin's heart raced, still in shock. She was still in Jungkook's embrace before quickly realizing and pulling away. Thank you, Jungkook, Yin stammered. Her face was pale, and her body trembled. Hey, it's okay. Don't be scared. You're safe now. Jungkook reached out to hold her hand to comfort her, but Yin harshly slapped his hand away. Jungkook was taken aback. Yin began to back away, while Jungkook stood still, his eyes observing her in silence. I'm fine. Thank you again. Yin quickly walked off, head down and fists clenched tightly. Jungkook noticed everything, how her face had turned pale at his touch, and how frightened she seemed. What's really going on with you, Yin? Jungkook thought to himself. Since the incident on the stairs when Jungkook saved her, Yin had suddenly started avoiding Jungkook. Not that they were close before, but now it was obvious she was avoiding him. Whenever they crossed paths, Yin would quickly look away. She even pretended not to see him when they accidentally bumped into each other. This left Jungkook feeling frustrated. Didn't they agree to stay friends? So why was Yin avoiding him now? Something was definitely off with her. Jungkook was a genius. After considering all the possibilities, he arrived at a probable conclusion. But he needed a plan to confirm his suspicions. Yin, I'm sorry I can't accompany you to the library. Will you be okay by yourself? Yoo-ju asked apologetically. She had to leave immediately because her mother called her, even though she had promised earlier to go with Yin to borrow some books at the library. Yin smiled. It's okay. Be careful, okay? She gently reassured. Sorry again. You're so kind, Yin. I'm heading home now. Don't stay too long at the library. You should get home and rest too, Yoo-ju said as she patted Yin's shoulder before leaving. Yin nodded and then left the classroom. Meanwhile, from his seat, Jungkook smirked. It seemed luck was on his side. The evening was drawing near, and it was getting dark. Yin hurried out of the library before it closed. She walked lightly down the empty corridor. Yin was startled when someone suddenly grabbed her hand and dragged her into a storage room, an empty space. She resisted, but her strength wasn't enough to break free. She was thrown harshly, but her balance was good enough that she didn't fall. Jungkook, what are you doing? Yin couldn't believe that the person who had pulled her into the storage room was Jungkook. What do you think? Jungkook smirked, his gaze fixed on her. Jungkook slowly approached her, causing Yin to back away cautiously. Her eyes glinted with anger, though there was fear in hers. Don't try anything, Jungkook. I can scream, Yin warned, her breath catching in her throat. She cursed under her breath as she realized there was a wall behind her, stopping her retreat. Oh really? Go ahead and try. The campus is deserted, and this storage room is in a corner. No one will hear you, Jungkook retorted with a mocking smile. What do you want? Yin's voice trembled, her eyes brimming with tears, her face turning pale. Jungkook continued to advance, making her even more anxious. What do I want? To have some fun with you, of course, Jungkook said, his eyes locked intensely on Yin. Yin was shocked as Jungkook suddenly moved swiftly, stopping just inches from her. He pressed his body close to hers, trapping her. Yin trembled in fear, unable to do anything. Horrible memories swirled in her mind. She saw Jungkook drawing closer, tilting his head slightly, his eyes now fixated on her lips. Yin knew exactly what he intended to do. It was only a matter of seconds before their lips would meet. Jungkook gazed intensely at her, who tightly closed her eyes, feeling his breath against her face. Cold sweat began to trickle down her temple as her body shook violently. Seeing this, Jungkook finally smiled faintly and stopped. He exhaled slowly and stepped back. His suspicions were confirmed. Yin kept her eyes shut, unwilling to look at him, even though she could tell he had backed off. Suddenly, she crouched down, covering her face with her arms as she sobbed. She felt dirty again. Jungkook approached her, unable to bear seeing Yin in such distress. Hey Yin, don't cry. I'm sorry, Jungkook said softly, squatting down in front of her. Yin didn't respond, still crying, unwilling to lift her head as her sobs continued. I'm really sorry, Yin. I didn't truly want to kiss you. I swear, Jungkook continued, his voice gentle as he tried to reassure her. But you scared me, Yin replied, in a hoarse, muffled voice, her face still buried in her arms. I'm sorry. I promise I won't do that again. I only did it to confirm my suspicions. Jungkook smiled. When Yin finally raised her head to look at him, she seemed calmer. The Jungkook she saw now had his usual gentle yet sharp eyes, his lips curving into a faint smile, no longer menacing like before. Yin furrowed her brows in confusion. Confirm what? She asked softly. Suddenly, Jungkook's once soft expression hardened. Who did that to you? Jungkook asked in a low voice, barely containing his emotion. Did what? Yin was still confused. Who dared to hurt you? Enough to leave you this traumatized? Who was that man? It felt like a lightning bolt struck Yin. She was shocked. Her eyes widened. This couldn't be happening. How could Jungkook know? How do you know? Yin was so stunned that she couldn't form proper sentences. I just know, and no one told me. Back then, you rejected me without a clear reason. Fine, I accepted it, but I could see fear in your eyes. It was like you were avoiding any interaction with men. And yesterday, when I accidentally touched you, you overreacted. Your face turned pale, your body trembled, and you looked scared. So, I planned this to confirm my suspicions. It wasn't hard to guess that something bad must have happened to you before. Am I right? I'm sorry I had to do what I did earlier, but if I'd just asked, you wouldn't have opened up to me. You would have kept it hidden. Yin looked down. She had forgotten how smart the man in front of her was. She stayed silent. After thinking for a moment, she realized that maybe it was time to tell someone about that disgusting incident, to ease the burden. And perhaps Jungkook was the right person. Besides, she couldn't hide it from him anymore. He had already figured it out. It happened when I was in middle school. Someone, and worse, it was my own uncle, Yin said in a trembling voice. Her chest tightened again as she recalled the event. Jungkook was shocked. He clenched his fists. What? How could that happen? Since then, he's been obsessed with me. I never understood why. One day, he came to our house when my parents were still at work. As usual, I greeted him warmly because, back then, I thought he loved and spoiled me. I was still a child. I couldn't see that his behavior was odd. Tears streamed down Yin's face. Jungkook wanted so badly to wipe them away, but he didn't want to scare her by touching her. He came into my bedroom under the pretense of giving me a doll, but I never expected that he would. Yin broke down in sobs. Luckily, my parents arrived home just in time, so he didn't succeed, and he went back to pretending to be a good person in front of my parents. But ever since then, I've always avoided him, Yin finished, lowering her head. Did you tell your parents? Jungkook asked. Yin shook her head. Why not? Jungkook asked sympathetically, unable to believe Yin had endured such a terrible experience. I was scared, Jungkook. I wasn't sure my parents would believe me. My uncle has always been seen as a kind and respected figure in our extended family. His reputation is perfect. He even threatened me, saying that if I ever told anyone, he would destroy my parents. I was terrified, Yin explained. Jungkook clenched his fists again. But Jungkook said, outraged. I know. All I can do now is keep avoiding him. Jungkook exhaled sharply. He couldn't do much if Yin chose to stay silent. Then you need to be extra careful. If given the chance, your uncle might try again, Jungkook said, his gaze sharp. Then he took a deep breath, and his expression softened. Once again, I'm sorry for scaring you earlier, but at least now you've opened up to me, Jungkook added gently. Yin nodded, a sweet smile forming on her lips. Since then, Jungkook and Yin have grown closer. They talked more often, and Yin felt comfortable speaking with him. Still, there was no physical contact between them. At the moment, they were in the library, working on an assignment given by their professor. Jungkook had been watching her for a while. She seemed restless. Is something bothering you? Jungkook finally asked. Yin turned to him, amazed at how Jungkook's guesses were almost always spot on. Are you psychic? How do you always know what I'm feeling? Yin replied with a half-hearted smile. Jungkook gave a small smile. Your face is easy to read, Yin. Oh yeah? Yin raised an eyebrow. So, what's bothering you? Jungkook repeated. Yin exhaled softly. My cousin is getting married this week. Our whole extended family will be there, including my uncle of mine. Honestly, I'm scared to meet him. The memories from a few years ago are still fresh in my mind. I'm afraid he might do something again. Jungkook paused for a moment, thinking about something. Can I come with you? Jungkook asked. Yin turned quickly. What? Can I come with you? Jungkook repeated. I can keep an eye on your creepy uncle. You can introduce me as your boyfriend. Well, even though that's not actually the case, Jungkook chuckled softly. I'm sure you'll feel safer with someone by your side. After considering a few things, Yin agreed to his suggestion. After all, her parents had long wanted her to have a boyfriend. Yin was sure they would be happy to meet him. Tonight, Yin's cousin's wedding is being held in a luxurious hotel ballroom. Yin comes from a distinguished family. She arrives with her parents, while Jungkook arrives alone. From the moment Yin enters the ballroom, she feels anxious, especially when she notices her uncle watching her from a distance. She's even more beautiful, thinks Hansol, Yin's uncle, with a smirk. Yin breathes a sigh of relief when she receives a message from Jungkook saying that he has arrived. She quickly goes to meet him. For a moment, Jungkook is mesmerized. Yin looks different tonight. The pink gown she is wearing fits her perfectly, and her makeup enhances her beauty. How could Jungkook not fall deeper in love? Yin smiles sweetly. Let's go inside. I'll introduce you to my parents. Jungkook nods and follows Yin from behind. Inside, Yin's parents are chatting with their business associates. Their attention shifts when they see their beautiful daughter entering the ballroom with a handsome man. Her mother's eyes light up. Wow, who is this? Her mother asks eagerly. This is my boyfriend, Mom. Yin replies shyly. Jungkook steps forward and introduces himself. Hi uncle and auntie, I'm Jeon Jungkook. I'm Yin's boyfriend, he says with a smile. Yin's parents are delighted. Their quiet only daughter finally has a boyfriend. They had been worried because Yin had never introduced a boyfriend before, and she had seemed quite aloof with men. Mrs. Park lightly nudges her daughter's shoulder. You've made a good choice, sweetheart. Jungkook is very handsome, she teases. Yin blushes. while Jungkook smiles slightly. Enough, darling. Let Yin and Jungkook enjoy the food first, Mr. Park says. Yin, take your boyfriend over there. You both need to enjoy the party, he continues. Yin nods, and Jungkook politely takes his leave. He didn't expect to be received so warmly by Yin's parents, though it was all just a pretense. Quietly, Yin points out her evil uncle to Jungkook. Jungkook smirks as he notices Hansol glaring at him from a distance. Hansol's clenched fists indicate his displeasure at seeing Yin with another man. Hansol thinks Yin belongs only to him. During the party, Yin needs to go to the restroom. Jungkook offers to accompany her, but Yin insists she can go alone. Jungkook doesn't stay idle. He watches Yin until she turns into the corridor leading to the restroom. Jungkook's gaze sharpens as he sees Hansol following Yin. He decides to keep watching but remains vigilant. He needs solid evidence to take action. Let's play the game, Jungkook murmurs with a smirk. I won't let you touch Yin again. He sees Hansol enter the women's restroom. A few seconds later, Jungkook follows. Jungkook's blood boils when he sees Yin crouched in fear in the corner of the restroom, with Hansol standing in front of her. With swift strides, Jungkook grabs Hansol by the collar and punches him in the face, sending him crashing to the ground. Jungkook looks back, relieved that Yin's clothes are still mostly intact, though slightly torn. How dare you do this to Yin? Jungkook is truly furious. He continues to strike Hansol, his anger consuming him. Seeing Yin in tears makes his chest tighten. He doesn't allow Hansol a chance to retaliate. The commotion attracts many people, including Yin's parents, who arrive and are shocked by the sight of their daughter's condition. They're also stunned to see Hansol, badly beaten by Jungkook. Stop, Jungkook. What are you doing? Mr. Park shouts. Mr. Park intervenes, pulling Jungkook away from Hansol. Meanwhile, Mrs. Park rushes to Yin, embracing her trembling daughter. Jungkook breathes heavily, glaring at Hansol. What's going on here? Mr. Park asks again. This bastard was trying to act indecently towards Yin again. Jungkook points at the sprawled Hansol. Yin's parents are taken aback. What do you mean? Jungkook explains everything Yin had told him about Hansol's past actions, which had traumatized her. He recounts it all, including why Yin had never confided in her parents. Mrs. Park covers her mouth in disbelief. The person she thought was kind had actually done such terrible things to her daughter. Mr. Park is furious and punches Hansol with clenched fists. Forgive me, brother, Hansol stammers, his condition pitiful. You deserve to be punished, Hansol. Look at my daughter. She's terrified. You're truly despicable. Mr. Park continues to strike him. Jungkook, call the police immediately. This man needs to be jailed, Mr. Park says coldly. Jungkook smiled with satisfaction. This was his goal. Hansol's eyes widen in fear, not wanting to go to jail. He tries to reach out to Yin's father for forgiveness, but he swiftly pushes him aside and embraces his daughter, taking her out of the situation. I'm sorry, sweetheart. We didn't know you were suffering all this time, her mother said, full of guilt, gently stroking Yin's head. Yin was now sitting between her parents, while Jungkook was seated in front of them. It's okay, Mom. What matters is that he's received the punishment he deserves. I don't want to see him again. I'll make sure Hansol gets the harsh punishment he deserves, her father said firmly. Yin nodded, feeling relieved. Dad, can I go home first? I'm tired and want to rest, Yin asked softly. Of course, sweetheart, her father replied with a gentle smile. Jungkook, can you take Yin home? Yin's mother requested. Yes, Andy, I'll make sure she gets home safely, Jungkook replied confidently. Jungkook drove calmly, occasionally glancing at Yin, who remained silent. He purposely let her be in her own thoughts, knowing she was still shaken by what had happened earlier. Before they knew it, they had arrived in front of Yin's house. Yin turned to him, smiling warmly. Thank you, Jungkook, for helping me today. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't shown up, she said softly. You're welcome, Yin. I promised I'd protect you, and I kept that promise. But I'm sorry I was a bit late and made you scared and cry. That was part of the plan to catch that jerk, Jungkook said, feeling a little guilty. It's okay. What matters is that I'm safe now. Thank you again. Jungkook gave her a mysterious smile. Just a thank you isn't enough. I want more, Jungkook said. What do you want? Yin furrowed her brows. I want you to be my girlfriend. This time, not just pretend, Jungkook said softly. Yin stared at him for a long time. The man in front of her was kind. He had also protected her. Yin couldn't deny that her heart felt warm whenever Jungkook was near. She felt comfortable with him. Yin smiled. Do you really want to be my boyfriend that badly? She teased. Well, what do you think? What kind of man keeps pursuing you even after being rejected? Of course, I love you a lot, Jungkook said sincerely. Yin's heart warmed. her heartbeat quickening. Thank you, Jungkook. Finally, Yin nodded. I agree, but there's one condition, Yin said. What is it? I don't want any excessive physical contact. Jungkook smiled gently. He knew the fear Yin had experienced had left a deep mark on her life. He nodded, understanding that he needed to be very patient if he wanted to help her heal. Including holding hands? Jungkook asked. Yin hesitated, unsure. She had never held hands with a man before. Seeing her remain silent, Jungkook smiled. Slowly, he took her hand gently. Yin gasped, her eyes wide, but she suddenly closed her eyes tightly, her hand trembling in his. Shh, baby, it's me. It's me touching you now, not that jerk, Jungkook whispered gently. Yin remained silent, refusing to open her eyes. Jungkook continued to hold her hand softly, never taking his eyes off her as she appeared uneasy with her eyes still shut. Open your eyes, Yin. Don't keep them closed. Look at me. I'm the one touching you, and I won't hurt you, baby, Jungkook reassured her. Slowly, Yin opened her eyes and gazed at his soft smile. Then, Jungkook gestured for her to look at their hands. Yin hesitated before finally glancing down at her hand, now gently held by him. See? You trust that I won't hurt you, right? So let me hold your hand like this, okay? Jungkook said, his soothing voice calming her. Yin swallowed hard and nodded. Though her hand was still trembling in his, he didn't let go, softly stroking her hand with his thumb, trying to comfort her. With me, there's nothing to be afraid of. I'll always protect you. Hearing that, Yin smiled faintly. She didn't speak, but her head nodded slightly. Her gaze returned to her small hand held in his large hand. After a few minutes of sitting in silence, with Jungkook still holding her hand, Yin's trembling began to subside. Jungkook felt relieved. His eyes shifted to her face, and he noticed she was now looking back at him. Jungkook smiled softly. All right, I'll head home now. Sleep well tonight, he said gently before releasing her hand. Yin smiled at him, nodding. Take care on the road, and let me know when you've arrived home. Jungkook smiled, nodding, and Yin finally stepped out of his car. It's been 3 months since they started dating. As per their initial agreement, there has been no excessive physical contact. Yin wasn't ready. In the beginning, she would even tremble when Jungkook held her hand. But Jungkook didn't give up, and eventually, Yin got used to his touch. In his car, Jungkook would often hold her hand, and at the library too. Slowly, Yin became accustomed to it, no longer trembling like she did the first time Jungkook touched her hand. Jungkook also kept reminding her that his uncle was already imprisoned, so Yin had no reason to feel scared anymore. And now, Jungkook was here, ready to protect her. Time flew by, and both Yin and Jungkook graduated with excellent results. As planned, 3 days after graduation, they were to get married. Before graduating, Jungkook had proposed to Yin, and she accepted. Both families agreed on the wedding date. Yin's parents were thrilled. Their only daughter was finally marrying a good and handsome man. Moreover, Jungkook came from a wealthy family. The wedding took place in a luxurious ballroom in the heart of Seoul. Happiness radiated from both of them. The night after the wedding reception, Yin, are you still afraid? Jungkook asked softly. This was their first night together, and Jungkook was asking her this. Yin remained silent. Honestly, she was still scared. Holding hands was no longer an issue for her. Jungkook had succeeded in making her comfortable with that, but when it came to more, Yin still had doubts. I'm sorry, Jungkook. Yin lowered her head, feeling guilty. Jungkook was slightly disappointed, but he hid it well. He smiled. It's okay, I understand. But what about this? Is this okay? Would you try it? Jungkook gently touched her lower lip. Is it alright? Jungkook asked again in a hopeful, soft voice. She remained silent, thinking for a moment. So far, Jungkook has been very patient with her. He had slowly helped her heal her fears, bit by bit. And now, she was officially his wife. It felt cruel to deny Jungkook a kiss. Blushing, Yin nodded. Yes. Jungkook smiled and leaned closer to her. She stiffened for a moment, but Jungkook gently squeezed her hand, soothing her. He gazed into her eyes, and then his face moved closer, tilting his head as he finally kissed her lips. Lips he had longed to feel. As his lips touched hers, her body tensed again. Jungkook quickly began stroking her back softly, briefly breaking the kiss. Relax, baby. Don't think about anyone or anything else. It's me. I'm the one doing this to you, Jungkook whispered. Slowly, Yin opened her eyes. Their faces were still very close. As usual, Jungkook gave her a gentle smile, his eyes tenderly gazing at her. A few seconds later, he leaned in again, their lips meeting once more. This time, Jungkook kissed her slowly and carefully. Yin was more prepared now. She began to kiss him back. Jungkook smiled through the kiss, savoring the beautiful moment between them. After a few minutes, he released their lips. This was just the beginning. He didn't want to push Yin too far, even though he was struggling to control himself because, truthfully, he wanted more. Yin and Jungkook looked at each other, smiling. It was a huge step forward, and they both felt happy with the progress. 1 month had passed since their wedding. Although there hadn't been any major problems, Jungkook felt that their physical relationship hadn't progressed much. It had been limited to kissing and hugging. As a normal adult man, he wanted more, especially since they were now husband and wife. He had long desired his wife, so tonight, he planned to talk to Yin about her lingering fears. "Baby, come here." Jungkook patted his thigh, signaling Yin to sit on his lap. Nervously, Yin approached. He rarely asked her to sit on his lap. She sat sideways, and Jungkook held her waist firmly. Yin tensed up momentarily, but quickly regained her composure. Now, their faces were level with each other. Jungkook tucked her hair behind her ear. Her cheeks instantly blushed. "Do you still feel uncomfortable around me?" Jungkook asked gently. Yin shook her head quickly. "No, Jungkook. I've completely accepted you by my side," she replied. Jungkook smiled. "But are you still afraid?" This time, Yin was silent, unsure of what to say. "Tell me, what makes you hesitant around me?" Jungkook asked. Yin sighed softly. "Honestly, sometimes I still remember Uncle Hansol. Every time you try, I recall what happened to me when I was younger." "I'm sorry, Jungkook. I shouldn't be like this. You've been so kind to me. I must seem so cruel." Yin looked at him with sadness in her eyes. Jungkook kissed his wife's forehead for a long time. "It's okay, baby, I understand. But you shouldn't always think about that scumbag. He's already rotting in prison. And look at me as Jungkook, your husband. Do you trust that I would never hurt you? Don't ever think about him again, okay? I truly want to build a happy life with you," Jungkook said sincerely. Yin lowered her head, feeling incredibly guilty. What Jungkook said was true. She also wanted their relationship to move forward. "I'm sorry, Jungkook. I've been wrong." Yin looked up, her eyes filled with tears. Jungkook shook his head immediately. "No, don't burden yourself. You have me. I'm always here to protect you. You're not wrong. I just want you to be truly happy with me and free from those bad memories." She took a deep breath, feeling nervous. Her face flushed again. "Then, teach me, okay?" Yin requested softly. Jungkook raised an eyebrow, but smiled. "Teach you what, hum?" he teased. "Teach me how to, so I can be a complete wife for you," Yin replied, embarrassed. Jungkook's smile widened. He couldn't have been happier. "Are you serious, baby?" "Yes, Jungkook, I'm serious," Yin replied sweetly. "But go slow, okay? People say the first time is really painful," Yin said, pouting her lips. Jungkook chuckled softly. "Okay, I'll go slow. You don't need to be scared. Just focus on me and remember that it's me doing this, okay? Enjoy everything I give you, alright?" Yin nodded, blushing even more. "Okay," she replied shyly.